He's motherfucking. He's something funky. He thinks he's awesome.
Hey everyone, this is me, Undead Viking. I want to talk to you about this game. It's called Legends of Goblins Past. I don't have a game box, I do apologize. Legends of Goblins Past is a game where each player is going to take on the role of a goblin bard living in a world of goblins, heading to a goblin tavern where they're going to tell tales of goblin heroes and their exploits. Each person is going to be attempting to tell the best story and the best combination of stories, and along the way the other players will be messing with each other and trying to screw up the other person's stories and interrupting those stories and what have you. There are a lot of different ways for you to score points that are going to depend upon which goblin role you have and what talents your bard has, things like that. And I'll explain all of that when we show you how to play the game. This is a bit of a lighter game. It isn't a game that should be taken super seriously. There is a goal. There is points scored. You are trying to outdo one another. But this definitely is a game that I found to be much more enjoyable as far as the interaction between me and my friends than the actual hey, I scored more points than you, I win, yeah, kind of type of thing. So let me show you how the game is played. It should be pretty. It is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward, and which feeds into the kind of lighthearted nature of the game as well. And then we'll come back here and I'll tell you why I've been having fun with Legends of Goblins Past. All right, cool. Alright, this is Legends of Goblins Past, and what you see in front of you is the giant player board and the different cards that you're going to be using to play the game. Everybody gets one of these player boards, and every player, as I said, is a goblin bard that is traveling from tavern to tavern, and right now there's basically a epic storytelling contest going on. What's going to happen is that players are going to have these lore cards that they're going to place, and so you can kind of see here as multicolored beams sprayed from every direction. This is, you can look at the icon. This would be a trickery, and then this would be a rising action card. And so if you look, you then are able to, the trickery and rising action, you're able to place that card in that location. Now hopefully as the game progresses, what you're going to be trying to do is you're going to be trying to go ahead and fill out an actual storyline that actually allows you to have a combination of the hook, the rising action, and the climax, and you will be telling stories of an encounter or an artifact or a trickery or what have you. And then when you have completed stories, you're able then to score points by adding an epic embellishment on the end, and also there are other things that you're going to be able to do that are going to affect your final scoring. One of those things that affects final scoring is that each person is going to have a goblin. So here you have Grug, and you can see Grug is going to score double points for each card that is placed in the rising action section. Let's look at a couple other goblins. We can just see what they can do. Here we have Bleeze. So trickery is doubled for Bleeze, and fuse. So mischief would be doubled for fuse. So depending on your goblin, you're just going to basically earn some extra points, if you will. Also, at the beginning of each game, you will get 2 bardic talent cards, and these are another way you can use to change the scoring by basically scoring extra points at the end of the game. Have equal lore in both comedy and tragedy. These lore cards, I'll show this more to you in just a little bit here, but the lore cards actually have either the happy face or the sad face, and depending and so if you have equal lore on those cards, you earn a bonus of 8 points. Here we have braggadocious, have the most epic embellishments. So if you have the most epic embellishments, you will win 6 extra points at the end of the game. So you pick one of these. Let's just take the epic embellishment one. And now those are a secret. You don't want to show everybody else what you have there because they will then try to stop you from getting those. You're also able to get more bardic talent cards as the game progresses, so you can actually score bonus points in lots of different ways. Also, before you begin, what you'll be doing is you'll be creating this candle deck. The candle deck actually tells how the game progresses. The game lasts 10 rounds, so you have 10 of these cards, and you can notice some of them have numbers, and then some of them have text on them. These are created, this deck is created randomly out of this giant deck. Each number has an equal number of cards, and you draw one randomly out of that. And so as the game progresses, and you don't know the cards, you obviously don't know what's going to happen. You'd have one, you'd show that, there'd be something that would affect the first round of the game, but we're not going to have something. But as you can see, the second one, Snake Eyes, all expenses double this round. So anything that people pay costs extra. And you do get 5 coins to begin the game. Obviously, these are my poker chips. I'm just using this, the game itself. And as always, this is a prototype, so keep that in mind. But the game itself won't have, poker chips, obviously, with it. I just use these to play the game. So you get these 5 coins. You're going to get your 1 Bardic Talent card, and you have your Goblin, and then also then you get 5 lore cards to begin the game. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a ton of these cards, so obviously I split them up. And the nice thing is that since there's so many, and this game can handle a lot of players, this is kind of meant to be kind of a social and fun game. All games are fun, but you know what I mean. It's just it's a little lighthearted, if you will. They do suggest maybe putting like a stack of cards next to you so you're not leaning over the table and grabbing them. The one big thing is that try to have like 1 discard pile because of the fact that you can dig through the discard pile. So just keep that in mind. So anyway, let's look at the cards we got here. So here you can kind of see that this is a hook and it is an encounter. And so then there's this little frowny face guy. So that obviously is like a tragedy. And so now this is actually a block card. I'll explain that a little bit. But so block cards don't have a thing, but they do have the tragedy card, and then that's a -1 point. The block cards you're able to play on somebody else's board, so you can kind of change that. But they're able then to put another card back down over it, so it doesn't block it forever. But you just have that ability. Let's see what we got here. An ancient red dragon. Once again, a hook. Let's see if we got something else. Oh, here I got a lot of tragedy. And then here you can see this is a rising action and a trickery. And so anyway, so you get these cards. And on your turn, when it is your turn, I did get one happy one. An encounter, it's an encounter, and it is a climax, and then but she slipped betwixt the creature's legs, escaping danger. So you can kind of tell where this is going. You're going to be creating a story, and hopefully be getting the right lore cards to fill out your tableau, if you will. So on your turn, when it is your turn, you get to take 2 actions, and so you get to perform, of those 2 actions, you can draw 2 lore cards from the deck. You can play a lore or interjection card from your hand to anybody's storyline. It doesn't just have to be yours. You can purchase a new Bardic Talent, just draw 1 for the top for a cost of a coin. Or you can smooth talk a patron for 2 coins. You can just convince them to give you money, but you can only do that if you have less than 5 or fewer coins in what you have. And you will be spending coins obviously for cards and stuff like that, but also certain events and certain things can happen that'll cause you to spend those coins as well. So on my turn, what I could do is I could take this card, and I can say this is I want to start with something that happened. Hold on. So let's start with a hook. So you could say an ancient red dragon with flame in his eyes, and you could just place that down like so to show that you started to tell this story. Then that would be an action to put that down. And then if I wanted to, I could draw 2 lore cards. But let's go ahead. And we can go ahead and let me see here. This one doesn't. Well, we can do the second part of the story, and we can say, the climax of, but she slipped betwixt the creature's legs, escaping danger. And so all we need is this rising action card to finish that storyline. So, gosh, I'm going to actually dig through the deck and kind of cheat and find one just so I can show you what happens here. So, if at some point, and of course this might take a little bit of time. All right, here I found one. So, and then, if on a later turn I was able to find this, charged our hero with skewering horns. We put that out. So now we have a completed story. We have an ancient red dragon with flame in his eyes, charged our hero with skewering horns, but she slipped betwixt the creature's legs, escaping danger. Oh, wow, great story, woo! All right, so after you score a completed story, there's a few things that happen. So you will draw 2 epic embellishment cards as the person that completed the story. You're gonna go ahead and look at one of these and decide which one you think tells the best end of the story. So one is, and celebrated her success with a festival of fireworks. and then accidentally lit herself on fire while learning a new spell. I like the fireworks. So let's go ahead, and the epic embellishment to the end of the story is that. So the final story would be: an ancient red dragon with flame in his eyes charged our hero with skewering horns, but she slipped betwixt the creature's legs, escaping danger, and celebrated her success with a festival of fireworks. Woo! Okay, so each one of your epic embellishments that you are able to place. Oh, and you do place this card on the bottom, like so. Each epic embellishment adds a bonus of 5 points at the end of the game. And then, when that happens, every other player has to toast you by saying, way to go, great story, and they have to spend 1 coin to do so. And then and that's why, like, you end up spending those coins, forced to, occasionally, if that happens. Now, I should mention that also on your turn, when you are, like, after you take your 2 actions, you also may, if you wish, discard 2 of your lore cards, just to put them in the discard pile, and then to draw either 1 lore card from any deck, if you have multiple decks, or you can go ahead and take the 1 lore card from the top of the discard pile. So you do have the ability to, like, you don't have to, if you're getting bad lore cards or what have you, you can't find the one spot. You aren't forced into the action of drawing lore cards. You can discard some and collect 1 as well. Also, when you have a storyline completed, you gain the bonus of being able to draw 1 free Bardic Talent card. So let's just see, we have the Trap Queen, have the highest lore in the Trickery storyline. And so you get that for free, and you add that to your other Bardic Talent cards that you may have either purchased or got before. And then those also can score you bonus points at the end of the game. One other thing before we move on, if you have a situation, let me just go ahead and just put this one down like so. So, like, that card was in place. If somebody plays a interrupt card like that, and I should mention, you can't put an interrupt card on epic embellishments. Those cards when you're putting, because normally when somebody's putting down an interrupt card, that's when somebody can, put the card down and interrupt it, but you can't do that with epic embellishments. If you have that on there, the person that has that happen to them has to spend a coin on buying a drink. So, it has a double purpose of not only gumming up the works and blocking their ability to score points with certain cards, but it also forces the player to use their resources and spend those coins as well. So, after everybody has taken their turn, you go around the table. You will then, as I said, take the top candle card, put it on the bottom. If there are anything that affects the next round, such as this doubling the expenses, you go ahead and have that affect the upcoming round. You then just start anew, and everybody takes their actions and continues on. After you've gone through 10 rounds, you will then total up your total number of points from your rows, from your columns, any bonus points you get from your Bardic Talents, any bonus points you get from the Goblin Bard that you happen to be, and you also are going to get 1 point for every 2 coins you have at the end of the game as well. You total up your points. Whoever has the most points, obviously, will win a game of Legends of Goblins Past. Now, there are a couple other variants that you can play. It has the inclusion, if you are all adults and enjoy a toasty beverage, when you are forced to buy a drink, when somebody plays an interrupt card, you can include some nice a beer or a whiskey or a wine or what have you. You don't have to play that right. Always drink responsibly, of course. And also, there is a fast talker variant where you only have 6 rounds instead of 10, and that actually does shorten the game pretty quickly. The game does last, I'm guessing, with a fair number of people. The most I've ever played this game is with 6, and the game only lasts about maybe 45 minutes or so. But when you play the fast talker variant with only 6 rounds, you're knocking that about half, or a little more than half of that. But other than that, it's completely and totally the same. You just only go through 6 rounds instead of 10. But there you go. That's Legends of Goblins Past. I have played this with my gaming group. I have played this with my family. I have played it with just my daughter. This is something that I've enjoyed. It's definitely on the lighter side of things. It's more of, yeah, it's competitive, but it's more of like just trying to come up with really cool cards that fit together and tell a funny story. I've actually caught my daughter just sitting down with the mat in front of her and her going through the cards and then creating funny storylines and then telling me about them. So, I mean, there's other things you can do with the game as well, as always. So, just keep that in mind. Like I said, I've enjoyed the heck out of it. I've had a lot of fun. But let me talk more about that in my conclusion, and I'll do that right now. Alright, thank you for sitting through the gameplay portion of the video. Well, if you did. I met the guys behind Vile Genius Games at BGG-Con last year. And very, very personable people, very, very nice dudes. I checked out their earlier creations, and this was a game that he actually had talked to me about a little bit and asked me if I was interested in the possibility of taking a look at it in the future. And it did sound completely like something that was up my alley. And once I got it, it fit the personality of Mark Sirens, the designer, completely. This is a totally... when I was playing it, just from my interactions with him and just how exuberant he is a good way to put it. It totally fit his personality, and I like that. I like when I've met kind of like the personas behind games, and I can see them. I can kind of picture them designing the game, if you will, or like, you know, and it's just, and he is a bit of an over the top guy and a really super nice dude too. So if you ever get a chance to go to a booth or something like that, I really suggest taking the time to do so. You probably enjoy yourself. But anyway, that completely and totally aside. You know, why did I like the game? I touched on that already. You know, it's one of those. This is one of those games where it's one of those games where I want to play a game, but mostly because I just want to hang out with my buddies, and or my family or whatever. And this is a game where the game itself, yeah, is like the purpose of me sitting at the table with the other people that are at the table, but this is a game that's just about having fun, and it is about a game that it is the facilitator of that. It isn't. How do I explain this? There are games out there that I love, like say a Dominant Species, which when I'm sitting down to play that game, I know that I'm in for a 4 or 5 hour mental slugfest with my friends, and the enjoyment that I get out of that game is based upon like my clever play and how well I'm playing and how well I'm playing against my friends, and also being very inspired by the really, really good play of my friends at the table as well. These are games that the rules are fairly straightforward. You can have strategies, you can have tactics that you're going to be using to try to win the game, but you know, in comparison to a deeper, heavier game, obviously they're going to be a little less developed, if you will. But the point of this game is that as you're playing the cards and you're laughing and you're joking and you're having a good time, and like I said, seeing my daughter sitting down and like just grabbing a big stack of these cards and creating these goofball storylines and then telling them to me, I think that's funny, and I think that's hilarious, and it's fun for me just to interact with my friends and have a good time. And like I said, and games like this, and I own several games like this, you know, make that time fun. It's like it creates the atmosphere that makes that interaction possible. And so and that's why I love this hobby so much, because of the fact that depending upon what kind of experience I'm looking for, I love having options available. And Legends of Goblins Past is definitely one of these types of games that fits that option. Now, all that being said, I mean, there's so much more about the game that I really enjoy. This is like almost like 350, 360 of these cards. So, I mean, the variance in there is so great. No two games are ever going to be alike. You're going to have these, you know, you're going to create, it's kind of like Mad Libs, if you will, you know, I mean, and so like, you know, when you're like filling in the blanks, if you will. So, I kind of enjoy that process. because of the fact that it is a fantasy theme, it ties in with the kind of hardcore D&D world that I grew up in, so I enjoy that a great deal. My daughter's favorite game continues and has been for the last 3 years, Dungeons and Dragons, so this is definitely one of those things where it ties into that for her. And like I said, my gaming group is comprised of the guys that I played RPGs with growing up. So I dig the art. The candle thing for the timer. This is kind of genius, but I kept looking at this and I kept thinking of the old PC game, The Magic Candle. If you remember that, I don't know why, but I mean, and that was kind of a nice thing. It reminded me of playing this this computer game like when I was like 17. I hadn't thought of that computer game in like a decade at least. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, Magic Candle. That was a great game. But anyway, regardless. So, I mean, there's just all kinds of stuff about it that I really, really enjoyed. If you're looking for a lighthearted RPG game with a little bit of, interaction, backstabbery, I think you're really going to enjoy this one. So, if you have any questions about Legends of Goblins Past, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.